Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
In the months since the arrest of the stepmother of the alleged Waterbury captive, state officials are demanding more transparency from the Department of Children and Family Services. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden. After Kimberly Sullivan's arrest, DCF says they followed agency standards that were set at the time, but lawmakers claim that's not enough. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson is in Waterbury with more on what officials are doing to get more information from the department.
Since she's been arrested, Kimberly Sullivan has been in the spotlight as her and her team try to fight the charges against her. But as prosecutors point the finger at Sullivan, lawmakers like Senator Stephen Harding are pointing the finger at the Department of Children and Family Services.
Initially, there seemed to be an indication by DCF that they were going to investigate this fully and they would be transparent about the answers that they uncovered. However, we're now 4+ months later. We have little to no answers.
Senator Harding and other minority Republicans believe there's been a lack of transparency from DCF about their investigation and a lack of urgency to release any possible findings to the public. More than 20 years ago, DCF visited the house of the alleged captive, but say they didn't find anything of concern. After Sullivan's arrest in March, the department released a statement saying, quote, "There were no records located in that system related to this case. Unsubstantiated investigations and investigation protocols are expunged in the electronic case record after 5 years unless a subsequent investigation is substantiated in accordance with state law." However, the department mentioned records were found in the archived closed records and they'd be reviewing them and making any reforms to practices as needed.
From what I understood, that they were going to look further into it and find some records beyond the 5-year period to really track down what occurred here. Now, 4+ months later, when there's still no answers, even an update would be probably more progress on an update to the public than what we have, frankly, now.
Senator Harding says the department's silence is not a good look to the public, and there needs to be a consistent pipeline of communication.
It's not serving anyone in the public any good by hiding information, which I frankly, at this point, it's gone on so long, I have to say that something's being hidden.
In DCF's most recent statement issued to Fox 61, they said, quote, "Our review to date shows that our case practice was consistent with agency standards at the time and that we did not deviate from our policies and practices. It is worthy to note that our policies and practices have significantly evolved over the past 2 decades and we are prepared to discuss those changes." Commissioner Jody Hill-Lilly says a meeting has been scheduled with Senate leadership over DCF's review of the case, but Harding believes meetings like this should be made public.
Having meetings behind closed doors at this point on an issue that is as tragic as what occurred here, it could potentially expose some liability, unfortunately, on the state of Connecticut and others who probably should have done things to protect this man.
Senator Harding says by putting more pressure on DCF, he hopes to get more answers as to what their investigation has uncovered. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
All right, we're in a weather impact alert for the lingering heat and humidity. It's going to stay dry tonight, but it's going to get wet tomorrow. Here's Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank to tell us more. Rach?
Yeah, we're definitely feeling the heat outside today, but we are just getting started. It will get even hotter during the day tomorrow, feeling like between 95 to near triple digits when you factor in that combination of both heat and humidity. But yes, that alert is not just for the heat, it's also for the thunderstorm threat. The window of time that we're watching the potential for storms is 2 to 8 p.m. And some of those storms could be strong to severe with damaging winds and small hail. Not every town will see a storm, but again, some of them could pack a punch. Heat advisory has been posted. Again, it's the National Weather Service's way, just like our weather impact alert, to just give you a heads up that this heat will likely impact your day tomorrow and to avoid strenuous activity outside. Temperatures are in the 80s right now. Here's that line of thunderstorms that we're watching. Lows tonight will be in the 70s, and then we're off to the races tomorrow. Your full forecast is coming up, Brent.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, an insect that came to Connecticut in just the last few years could become more of a problem for agriculture here in the state. We're told they traveled across continents through international trade and ended up here in small numbers initially. They've thrived in Connecticut over the last few years, though. The bugs enter their adult flying stage and grow wings this month. Fox 61's Joe Monti spoke with agriculture experts about the new problem.
The spotted lanternfly made its way from East Asia to Connecticut in just the last 5 years. Their population grew largely in just the last couple of years. Agricultural businesses like Gouveia Vineyards in Wallingford are taking precautions to make sure this bug doesn't bug them.
eventually, if nothing is done, it will wipe out your vineyard.
James Gatcombe, the winemaker and manager at Gouveia Vineyard, says he set homemade traps to catch the spotted lanternflies. He built them around trees on the property where he thinks he'll find them.
They like to climb up vertical spaces and get inside underneath nooks and crannies. They'll make their way up into these traps and get inside and get trapped inside of a bag with like a sticky trap inside of it. Dr. Gail Ridge, an associate scientist at the Connecticut Agriculture Experiment Station, says they are similar to insects most people already dislike.
They're basically an insect mosquito. Same function on a plant as a mosquito would have on us. They have a piercing, sucking mouth part.
They use their piercing mouth to feed on nutrients inside of plants.
They have to scavenge protein from the fluids of plants that they're feeding on. So they have to flush high quantities of sap through their bodies, and then they defecate it as honeydew.
Dr. Ridge says the honeydew is sticky and high in sugar. It can attract unwanted insects like wasps. It can also cause sooty mold and other problematic fungi to grow. Grapevines are a big target and don't hold up well against these insects.
Certain plants are more sensitive to that, particularly the grapes. If the grapes are drained of their nutrients during the summer months, then they don't have the energy reserves to make it through the winter, and so vines can get killed.
The good news is that Gouveia Vineyards has not felt the effects of the spotted lanternfly to this point. However, Gatcombe is still concerned because of how these bugs travel.
They'll jump on someone's car and just kind of take a ride up the highway. We're very close to the highway, so that's been a concern for me. We do get a lot of traffic here to this vineyard.
He says the vineyard is working closely with the Connecticut Agriculture Experiment Station to make sure this new problem doesn't become a serious one. Dr. Ridge believes over the next few years the spotted lanternfly population will drop after many of Connecticut's native predators add these bugs to their diet. For now, we just have to deal with them.
We're just going through this frontal wave at this point, and that people just need to be aware they are not any medical concern. They don't bite.
Dr. Ridge says these insects are no reason to panic. She says they aren't currently a major threat to businesses in this area, but you are encouraged to report it when you see one. She says their eggs are typically found on vertical surfaces and look like a splatter of mud. She says if you want to get rid of them, you can simply peel them off and put them in a cup of soapy water. At Gouveia Vineyards in Wallingford, Joe Monty, Fox 61.
Well, the sun is shining in Connecticut for at least one more year. We're talking about the state's WNBA team, the Connecticut Sun. They're staying put, putting an end to months of relocation rumors. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson breaks down the announcement and has fan reaction.
After months of speculation, the Sun's fate is clear. They're staying right here. Well, for now.
The sun is shining on for the Connecticut Sun as they'll be staying put for one more season. One email to season ticket holders silenced months of rumors. The team saying, "We know there has been a lot of conversation in the media about the future of the team, but please know that we will be playing the 2026 season here at the Mohegan Sun Arena." That email hit home for fans like Jaylene Piekarski.
You know, Connecticut is becoming a big basketball place, so I think we should definitely keep that up.
Rumors ran rapid after the Mohegan tribe hired a firm focusing on relocating and possibly selling the team. Cities like Boston and Providence were tossed around, but for local basketball fans, Connecticut was the only choice. But with the WNBA only getting bigger each year, costs are going up. Basketball fan Frank Torres says even though they are staying put, things still need to change.
My only complaint is that they're not getting paid enough.
But now, with the same home court advantage, hopefully the next season's Sun will set with a championship in Connecticut.
And as we mentioned, 2026 season tickets are only available right now to 2025 season ticket holders. So the rest of us will have to wait for the general pre-sale, which should be coming in the next couple months. Reporting from Mohegan Sun, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
All right, Victoria, thank you. Well, breaking now at 6:08 from Stonington. State Police and Stonington Police are releasing new details about a deadly motorcycle crash on I-95 yesterday. Stonington Police say the motorcyclist killed in that crash was the suspect in a bank robbery just minutes before in the Pawcatuck section of town. The bank robbery was reported around 11:20 in the morning, and police say the suspect, Sean Toomey, took off on a blue motorcycle. About 13 minutes later, State Police responded to the scene of the crash on I-95 near exit 91. Troopers say Toomey had crashed into the back of a tractor trailer and he died at the scene. Both the crash and the bank robbery are still under investigation tonight. And new tonight, a Stamford police officer appeared in court today in a domestic violence case. The police department says they arrested Officer Gregory Zach yesterday. He faces strangulation, threatening, and assault charges. Zach is on administrative leave right now while the department investigates. Officials didn't provide any more details about the domestic incident. The department says they take domestic violence allegations seriously and they are supporting the victim. Zach is out on bond. If you or someone you know is experiencing a domestic violence situation, there are resources to help. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline or the CT Safe Connect hotline using the phone number or website on your screen. And they are ready to help 24/7. The New Haven road race is no longer sponsored by Avelo Airlines. The board of directors says they voted to end the relationship because of Avelo helping Homeland Security with its deportation flights. Avelo has sponsored the race since 2022, helping the race increase its support for local nonprofits and New Haven youth. We've reached out to Avelo for a statement and we are waiting to hear back. Well, the state's Department of Education released the Bridgeport Public School District's forensic audit results today. It didn't find any fraud, but it did find a lack of board oversight, management communication, and financial transparency. Clifton Larson Allen, an independent legal company that examined the district's operating budgets for the last school year, say the shortages led to certain procedures not being followed and the misrepresentation of financial information. The district was projected to go $39 million under, which prompted this investigation. Bridgeport Public Schools released a statement reading in part, quote, "This audit is an important step toward building a stronger, more transparent, and more accountable school district. We take the findings and recommendations seriously, and we are carefully analyzing all aspects of the report before offering detailed comment or conclusions." Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim says he will work with the city and public schools management teams to ensure quick implementation.